Hi, I'm Christy. I want to talk to you today about being the parent or caregiver of somebody with special needs and the impact it can have on your life. When I think about the family members that are most impacted by special needs, parents and caregivers are at the top of the list. I'm pretty sure there aren't very many people who go into parenting thinking, I want to parent somebody with special needs. Now, I do know that there are some foster parents and some guardians who go into it knowing what they're getting into. But for the most part, I'm pretty sure it's never entered your mind. I know it hadn't entered our minds before our son was born. Now, if there was an accident later in life and your loved one ended up special needs because of the accident or an illness, again, I'm pretty sure you didn't think about being a caregiver to someone like that. But regardless of how you ended up here, I suspect that you've had many days wondering how you're going to get everything done. You look at the things that a parent has to do, things like laundry and making meals, going to work, cleaning the house, activities for each family member, going to church or other religious activities, sports for whoever wants to play sports, and the list goes on. If you have special needs, there's also an extensive list of things that you have to worry about. Fighting insurance companies for coverage, going to doctors and getting referrals for specialists, contacting specialists to get appointments scheduled, going to all of these appointments. A lot of times there's weekly therapy appointments. And then you have things like accommodations and modifications for school or for work. And then following up to make sure that those accommodations and modifications are implemented properly. And once again, the list goes on. Now, if your loved one is medically fragile or has a lowered immune system, you've got another list of things. Things like, is anybody who comes into contact with them regularly sick? Are there any medical supplies that you need, and are they on hand? Do you need replacements, or do you need to be ordering anything else? Once they're ordered, have they shipped on time so that they'll be here before you run out? Will insurance cover all of these things? Do you have the authorizations needed for insurance to cover these things? Are there any upcoming medical procedures that are needed, and is everything lined up for that? At what point, if your loved one is sick, do you need to go to the doctor, or worse yet, do you need to go to the ER? And once again, the list goes on. Man, as I'm going through all these lists, I'm exhausted just talking about them and just writing them down. You know, life is exhausting at times. And I haven't even gotten to things like the mental and emotional stress that can be involved of living with somebody with special needs and dealing with these issues day in and day out. I know other parents or caregivers would include other lists and put other things on these lists. But as I researched, I found a bunch of articles from various universities and organizations that provided information on these. You can find details about them on my blog at www.havenofhopeforme.com. This post originally posted in early March of 2018. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here. I don't want to just focus on the negatives and make you think that life is hard and there's no hope. Many families have found that this just becomes a part of their normal life. They do the best they can, they make the best decisions they can with the information they have, and life goes on. But as I've talked to parents over the years, I found that many of them say that yes, their life is very different than they envisioned it would be, but they couldn't imagine life without their loved one, special needs or not. And a number of them have even said that they're blessed to have their loved one with special needs in their lives. Special needs people tend to teach us lessons that we wouldn't learn any other way. Things like slow down and enjoy the small accomplishments in life. Treasure every small victory and accomplishment because they've taken so much work to achieve. We get to see things through the eyes of a child for so much longer than normally happens. We learn how to be persistent in the face of a continued battle. We learn to fight for things that our loved one needs and how not to take no for an answer. We learn to think creatively to problem solve, and we find that things don't fit in a nice, neat box, and so we've got to come up with creative solutions. I know that my life is much richer for having my son in it. He's taught me so much about myself. He's helped me become a better person. He's helped me to learn when I need to be stubborn. Of course, I prefer to think of it as persistent or persevering, but you can call it what you like. I've learned not to give up and not to give in at times, but I've also learned that sometimes it is worth giving in because it's just not a big deal. It's not worth making a battle over. He's helped me see that people are more than what doctors or therapists may tell you that they'll ever do, and that they can do more than you're told they will. I actually had one therapist look at me and say, you know, your son should be in a wheelchair, right? He shouldn't be walking, as he was running around the therapy office. Most importantly, though, I've learned that everybody learns on their own schedule, and to never give up on them, because you don't know what they're going to learn in the future. My son is still continuing to learn things today, things that, you know, he might be doing it later than is typical, but he's still learning. And I have no idea how much he will continue to learn. So I want to keep challenging him to learn everything that he can. So as I end this video, I have a question for you. How has being the parent or a caregiver of somebody with special needs impacted your life? Do you see it as a positive or a negative? I'd love for you to leave me a comment below or at my blog, and let's get some conversation going. Again, you can find this blog post at www.havenofhopeforme.com. It was posted in early March of 2018. As we continue to build community here, and as we join hands together and walk this path, I hope that you can agree with me and say that life is good, and there is never a dull moment.